This video is sponsored by Bityard. With over 400 cryptos to trade on their spot, perpetual coin futures, USDT futures, with leverage of 1x to up to 125x, you can trade foreign exchange, commodities like gold, silver and oil, and traditional markets like Nasdaq, all with some of the lowest fees available on any trading platform. You can use their copy trader to copy other traders with better performance than you, or you can become a copy trader yourself and earn a few extra percent from the people that follow you. Plus you got 9 out of 10 stars from the Coin Bureau guy. Bityard! Hello everybody, I'll just move my microphone, hang on. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a quick look at a few things. This is your Nasdaq, this is oil, this is Dixie, and this is our friend Bitcoin on the hourly. So you don't need me to tell you, it's been pretty bloody boring, and you know, as far as this chart, and again, we never look at the hourly, but there's been really very little going on for Bitcoin recently. A lot of skepticism still surrounds the whole of crypto, and especially Bitcoin and all markets. Now I do favour the everything bounce, and you can see that it's actually worked out quite well. This is obviously Nasdaq. I bought the low of that week's candle. Nasdaq's up almost 10%, and some of the stocks that I bought within that are up over 10%, some almost bordering 20%. So the everything bounce as far as stocks and indexes is still working out okay. Now the major edge that we have for further continuation, although that this is a bullish engulfing candle on the weekly, which is pretty good to be honest with you, and I actually still think that we could at least reach the 20 weekly on Nasdaq, which would mean continuation for stocks and indexes. We are also monitoring in the corner of our eye the Dixie and oil. Now oil managed to close above the Bollinger Band last week. It's obviously opened above there this week, which is not a breakdown formation, so this isn't a change of behavior at the moment. This is still very much an uptrend. We do want to see this actually break down, so we managed to call more or less the top at 120, and that's helped the everything bounce for major indexes, at least in stocks. Not so much for Bitcoin and stuff, although we've made some decent trades over the last couple of weeks with crypto. If we want to see continuation on a larger extent, we need to see oil closing down below 106, and we need to see Dixie remain below 105. Now, just a quick view on Dixie. This is your sort of, I suppose, a formation. It's a symmetrical triangle. And when you get towards at the end of an apex, really, and you see a breakdown towards the end like this, I'd say most of the time it would result in a fake out. So rather than this looking, to the untrained eye like a breakdown, I think what's likely to happen is that we might get a little further down, maybe towards these moving averages around here, 103, maybe at best, and then we rebound probably up to retest the 105, where we really do need to see a start to close and remain below 105, because it's starting to get above there, things start to get ridiculous again. Equities and stocks and everything will start selling off as the dollar continues to remain strong. We said it before, you can't really fight the Fed, but that's effectively what we're trying to do here. So we shouldn't really expect too much further downside for Dixie, but we are hoping for further downside on oil, and that will help a lot when it comes to next CPI data coming through. Maybe not so much this one coming around the corner, but the one after. So all eyes on oil. Being below 106, definitely a big deal. Being below 110 is still good enough to maybe impact the inflation data, but below 106 would start to show a change of behavior. And again, this is 106 on weekly candle bodies. Obviously we came down lower than that. We came down to basically 102 last week, which was good, but on Friday got sucked straight back up and managed to close quite a bullish looking candle here. So right, so let's think about Bitcoin. Boring AF. Very, very boring. This chart is on the hourly here. It isn't really showing any edge at all, to be honest with you. There's not really anything to look at on this chart. It's slow, it's boring. The range is tight. There's really nothing to it, and for that reason alone, it's almost like a non-trading event, I would say. The 4 hourly again, there's no buy signals. Obviously, we're not going to be getting any of those, and we are showing slowing of momentum already from this area. Again, we've been in this range for a little while. So slow, so boring. The daily, however, looks actually okay, for further upside. But the problem we've got here is that we're getting rejected on this 10 exponential. We've been rejected here 4 days in a row, despite having such a silly, tiny little range. And our supports are the 7 simple moving average. So literally support down here are just around, well, where are we now? 21,000, and rejections around 21,400. The range is so small and so tight. In fact, let's just turn the Bollinger Bands on to see how small they are. They're still massive. Bollinger Bands are still huge. So we shouldn't really expect much volatility out of Bitcoin at this very moment in time. Not until it decides to either close below 21 or close above 21,500. It's such a slow, boring event. This would be more or less the worst and most crappiest time to really trade, to be honest with you, because we are entering the latter part of what this bear market would suggest on a time and cycle basis. Despite the everything bounce looking good for major indexes, and obviously, I've in the last week made way more money on traditional markets than I have on crypto, which is unusual. It's unusual. Crypto is still pretty much dead in the water, and that's fine. I'd say that is fine. Let's think about it in terms of what we're actually looking at. So a giant descending triangle, just like we have with traditional markets, and this kind of brings us towards that September, October, November end of bear market kind of vibe around here. So what we could be thinking about, to be honest with you, is a horizontal range as well as a descending triangle kind of range. And at the moment, we could think about the lowest areas being maybe that of around 12,000, which about 43% to the down, and the summer lows, basically, the 28, 29, 30 areas. Which is about just short of a 40% range as well, which means that basically we're right in the middle of a range with a boring 1 hourly, a boring 4 hourly, and boring daily, not really giving any particular edge of major strength or major weakness. I'd say it is definitely a non-tradable area. For me, anyway, I wouldn't really fancy trading this. I've had way more luck with traditional markets, which are really showing, giving you a much better edge on those than you're getting on Bitcoin, which does honestly just feel like it's dead in the water. This is fine though, like I say, in the context of the bigger picture, which is that we target this as far as time is concerned for end of bear market. So between between September and November, I've managed to make it all the way to December there, but this area is where we were thinking of the bear market effectively ending, accumulation beginning, and getting ready for a launch pad to start the new bull run, the bull market, the next bull market, which should last again. We're thinking things in terms of 4-year cycle stuff. We'll be looking at a general slow and steady move up over a 3-year period to maybe a new all-time high. But for the moment, those sort of things are so far away, it's difficult to even consider them as realistic, although they probably are. So if you're thinking with dollar cost averaging into this is fine. You got to risk some to gain some, or like I was doing with my stocks and shares platforms over the last year, is basically every time I took profit on crypto, which used to be on a monthly basis, I'd put money into these platforms and I would leave it there. I've been in a 90% stocks cash position in stocks and stuff like that for, since December, definitely. And I've only just deployed some of that last week. So it was the Friday before last. So I've been in these major index positions and individual stocks for about 9 days now, and they've worked out quite well. But trust me, I have not touched stocks and shares since December, since Omicron came around the corner, and I've just stayed on the sidelines. You could think about the same when it comes to crypto. You could think about getting money, whether you're deploying it straight away or just keeping it aside for what could be the cycle low form between September, October, November, getting ready for next year, really, where things would turn around consistently. Although they might not be aggressive, it would be consistent like the last time we turned around after the bear market ended. Big accumulation period of maybe a couple of months, and then the slow and steady moves up over the next few years. Then the party beginning once again. So this does look like the latter part of the bear market, where things and confidence has more or less left, and just like it happened last time, we spent times ranging, getting flatter and flatter and flatter, and then just dropped off. You see this on all kinds of things, whether it's stocks or altcoins. Confidence leaves and you just have one big flush out, the last flush out, which basically takes everybody to the depths of despair, and that is normally a sign of getting back in. So whether you call it capitulation or just an enormous drop in confidence, we could be looking at something like that. But for the moment, I honestly think we're just going to be ranging for the moment between the summer highs and maybe new lows over the latter part of the year. So depending on how you want to trade this or when you want to deploy capital is completely up to you, but the main thing is to focus on the chart and keep an eye on it and be ready for it, and not be caught out whether we go lower or higher, because we think we've got an understanding of which direction it wants to go as far as time is concerned. And at the moment, just as that hourly suggests, and the 4 hourly and the daily, it doesn't know what it wants to do. It's literally got a range of about $500, so a breakout either way should have continuation, maybe whether it's just in the short term sweeping these lows or potentially moving up to to these highs. It's a very slow and boring Monday. Traditional markets are the place to be for the moment, but crypto, you have to keep an eye on it, because if you don't keep an eye on it, you get left behind eventually. And that is what's going to catch most people out. And this is what happened over here, obviously. When I was buying into it, no one wanted it. And lo and behold, hundreds and hundreds of X's later, we find ourselves, waiting for the party to begin again. We're in the queue. The nightclub's not open yet. In fact, we've got there way too early. But the point is, we're in the line, we're ready to go, and we're just waiting for the doors to open. And they might not open until Christmas, but they will open again. So let's just keep our eyes on the prize. Crypto is boring. Bitcoin is boring. Traditional markets less so. Let's keep our eyes on it and see where it goes. But for the rest of the day, like I say, we've got a range of $500 before it decides to take a further move up or down, and I'm not convinced either way of which way it wants to go. If we think about the strength in traditional markets at the moment, I do favour further upside for Bitcoin, but the chart itself on its own isn't really suggesting anything, so that's just trading through association with traditional markets, which is why I said, traditional markets have been the more lucrative over the last week. Because that is the everything bounce. It was all based on traditional markets, and it still is. Crypto is always going to be an afterthought of that, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.